Good day, guys. Us today, and in this one today, it's Pi Day, apparently. Happy Pi Day, everybody in the entire world. I've got no idea what that means, but hey, it's a good thing because we have now got a new Raspberry Pi. Now, I've just been notified of this. It was released today. I've not got my hands on it at all. I have ordered a bunch of them, so hopefully they should get here tomorrow. I did request expedited shipping, whatever that means, but I can't wait to get my hands on them. So I thought I'd release a video to bring you guys up to speed, to make and grant awareness to the entire world, and well, here we are. So let's take a look at this new Raspberry Pi. Now, first off, I need to say that this is from me looking at this on the website, the statistics, the new features that it brings and all that kind of stuff. It's not exactly going to revolutionize the industry. It's no groundbreaking stuff. It's not a Raspberry Pi 4. It is merely an upgrade to the existing one. So don't get your panties in a twist at this early stage. Things are improved, and we'll go into detail in just a second, but it's not exactly going to, I don't know, revolutionize the industry, like I said. So the Raspberry Pi 3, this is the B+. So it's the same Raspberry Pi. From what I can see, most of the stuff that actually is already on there, like the CPU, the RAM and all that stuff, nothing's changed. There is some slight improvements with some of the things, and we'll talk about that in a second. But for me, as a roundup summary, quick right now, it's going to be more snappier. Let's put it that way. Now, I would have loved a Raspberry Pi 4. I think it's well overdue, a Raspberry Pi 4, but I'm welcomed this new addition. And the fact that it's still the price of an original Raspberry Pi 3, I cannot grumble at all. That is huge news, and thank you very much to the Raspberry Pi guys for actually doing that. Now, from what I've been looking at on the website and stuff with some of the new additions, most of the gumph, there's been some improvements, and well, let's talk about them. First off, me talking about this right now, I'm talking about it from a gaming standpoint. I am not the person who's into Linux. I do love what it does, but I'm used to DOS, I'm used to Windows, I'm used to Android and all that kind of stuff. It's hard for me to get my head around Linux, and I just use it for gaming. That's my thing, like gaming, media, all that kind of stuff. And the Raspberry Pi 3s have been awesome with that. You know, I can just throw images on there, I can throw operating systems, and I can squeeze everything that this Raspberry Pi can do to get the most out of it from my standpoint. So me talking about this now, I'm talking about it mostly from gaming and media. Not no projects, not no school stuff, what you can do to, I don't know, revolutionize the business industry and all that kind of stuff. This is just me talking about the gaming side of it. So from that standpoint, let's have a look at some of the new features. First off then, it's got a 1.4 64-bit quad-core ARM Cortex-A53 CPU. It's exactly the same as it was before. It's the same CPU. However, what they have done is overclock this little puppy. So beforehand, I believe it was running at 1.2 gigahertz as standard out the box, and this is now running 1.4 gigahertz. So we have seen a big improvement there. Now, there was the feature where you could, well, it wasn't so much a feature, but you could actually overclock the original Raspberry Pi, something that I did as standard, to 1.3 stable with a normal cooler. I don't know, put a heatsink on top. You'd have no issues running most things whatsoever, running that kind of speed. Now, if you run the silicone lottery, or if you had any decent cooling on there, you could probably push it to 1.35, maybe 1.4, I've heard told tales of having. And you would be able to use it probably the same kind of speeds. But for me, it was just a bit too much squeezing going on for the Raspberry Pi 3 at its last incarnation. This new one, 1.4 straight out the box, this is good. Very good news. I like this. This is huge. And the fact that it's using the exact same CPU, this is where things may get a bit weird for me. Because if I was overclocking 1.2 to 1.3, and now they've squeezed it to 1.4 with the new improved thermal, well, what would you call it, technology to make this happen, then is there any more headroom to actually squeeze more out of this? I don't know, because I literally ordered mine today. This was released today, and I won't be able to get my hands on it and conduct any thorough tests to see if we can squeeze any more, if it's going to be stable squeezing more, if it can actually enable you to do this. I've got no idea. This is so early, so fresh. If you guys know anything more about this, I am not by any means a professional when it comes to hardware, especially this side of hardware. PCs and things like that, yeah, no problem, I'll over it like a rash. When it comes to this kind of technology, no, I'm as much in the dark as the average user. I can only go off my experiences, again, talking from the gaming side of it. So, I don't know, 1.4, can we squeeze any more out of it? Is it actually technologically possible to squeeze more? Hopefully it will. If we can push this to 1.5, we could get a hell of a lot more working. Probably at the moment, from a gaming side, you can run everything on a Raspberry Pi from, I don't know, old systems dating back to Stone Age, Atari 2600, all the way up to Sony PlayStation 1. No problem whatsoever. Smooth as butter, you'd have no issues whatsoever. Two problem systems that are compatible with the Raspberry Pi 3 but have issues is the first off, the Nintendo 64. Yes, it's an older system, but it has issues playing on there. It has issues playing on a PC unless you got a decent PC, so it's no surprise there. If you run it stock, then you can get a handful of games working alright on there. If you overclock to 1.3, you can get many more games working, but by no means are they... I wouldn't get much enjoyment out of them, because you can tell that it's not working to its full potential. And there's nothing worse than playing a game and just not being able to... When you've played them originally and you try to play something that's not quite there, you can tell a mile off. If you pushed it further, 1.4 gigahertz, yeah, I reckon you could get this Nintendo 64 pretty stable. But then the emulators themselves that actually get those games working, again, not working very well on the Raspberry Pi, just due to the way that the emulator is made up, not due to the actual hardware or anything like that. So yeah, 1.4 from my take on this, without conducting any tests, just me looking at the paperwork, you're going to get more games working. You're not going to get every game working, and it's going to be a lot more stable, let's put it that way. So I reckon you'll get a bit more joy out of Nintendo 64, but you're still gonna be, I don't know, trying to flog a dead horse with many of the games on there. The other problem system, Dreamcast. Now again, this falls into the same thing as the emulator. It's not very compatible on the system. I believe, top of my head, the only emulator that can run Dreamcast on there is probably Raycast. The emulator itself hasn't been touched in some time, so compatibility wise, it's not very good. Then you've got the performance side of it all. Running at 1.2, not even worth bothering about. Running at 1.3, you could get quite a few games working, but again, some of them glitchy due to the emulator, some of them just not quite there and very noticeable. Some of the 2D ones, you could probably get, you know, decent gameplay out of them, but again, I just never went down that road. Now that it's running at 1.4, this opens up some new ideas. So hopefully that one will, I don't know, bring new games to the edition. Could make it a more viable system to run, at the very least for some of the classic games. Again, by no means, just because of the emulators alone, you're not going to play the entire library of Dreamcast on there. But yeah, 1.4, it'd be interesting to see if we can overclock this anymore. 1.4 though, however, from the same price, you know, Raspberry Pi, that's awesome news. Other than that, then we have got the dual band 8.2, so this has an upgrade. It's now using, again, dual band, so the speed is increased for up and down, and also we've got improved Bluetooth. Now, this really is, I don't know, I don't take my Raspberry Pi online for gaming or anything like that. The only reason I use my Raspberry Pi for the wireless, and especially for the LAN, which we'll talk about in just a second, is for transferring files. So for me, messing around with the operating system, putting my games on there, making edits and all that kind of stuff. Increasing performance on that is a good addition, but it's not exactly going to revolutionize my house, other than I'm going to spend less time uploading and downloading. I do believe, from what I've heard rumor wise, that the antenna, I believe this is the little what's it called, module where it all exists. And I do believe that the antenna has been improved. So yeah, you're probably going to get more, I don't know, radius from your router, from whatever it is you're working it from. It may probably increase your Bluetooth connectivity, but to be honest, Bluetooth wise, I never really had a problem with disconnections on there. So again, if you guys have got any more information about that, put them in the comments down below. It'll be great to bring me up to speed, ready for when I get my hands on for some testing. But yeah, a great addition. Thank you for the upgrade, but it's not really gonna revolutionize my house. Ethernet then, like I said, it's been upgraded. It's now gigabit Ethernet, but it's running through USB 2.0, which means that you're not going to get a gigabit through it. You're going to get what? Probably, I don't know, 300 megs or something through there. So yeah, it's been upgraded, but you're not going to be able to take full advantage of that upgrade. It can now power through the internet, apparently. I've got no idea what impact that will be made. I've never physically done that myself, but it could open a few more doors for those who like to tinker. I like to build these inside retro computers, you know, coming up with crazy new projects. I do like that side of thing. So this could bring in some new ideas for me, but it's not exactly, again, gonna blast the doors off anything. So the other thing is, because this is over USB 2.0, in the past with the original Raspberry Pi 3, I believe that even though you have got 4 ports, they actually shared the bandwidth going into the Raspberry Pi, to put that in, you know, very crude layman's terms. So it's kind of like, in my mind, kind of like putting a USB hub inside a USB computer, or a USB connector to a computer. Yep, you've got 4 connections, but they're all sharing the same connection, if that makes sense. So the bandwidth on each one, if they were all working in conjunction with each other, would then become slower. Obviously, if one wasn't active, then yeah, you would get more bandwidth, but you see where I'm coming from for this? So if this is now working through a USB 2.0 also, would this have a knock-on effect? I don't know. Again, comments down below. For those of you who are into your hardware side of it all, it'd be great to bring me up to speed on this and give me your intellectual knowledge in all this, because yeah, it'd be nice to know its limitations when it comes to that side of things. Yeah, it's like I said, it can now run through power, so you don't have to plug it in. You can actually run it through the Ethernet cable, so that'd be interesting for some, you know, custom builds. Improved, yeah, mass storage and booting, no idea. Improved thermal management, I think that's mostly down again to the CPU and the way that's running. So because they have got a new shrouding by the looks of it, and they have improved the way that the original CPU was working, they have been able to get the overclock on there, so I think that just goes hand in hand with the 1.4 gigahertz. Physically, it doesn't look like any difference whatsoever. I'm not sure if this new shrouding around the CPU is going to, I don't know, hinder any of the custom cases that you can buy from third parties. Some of them do actually do have, I don't know, cooling, especially like the flirt case and things like that. It actually connects to the CPU, so it can cool in real time through the actual case. So I don't know if that'll change the way that those cases fit. Maybe they might have to tweak, I don't know. Again, I haven't got my hands on these, so I cannot comment. Let's have a look at the specifications, see if there's anything more information wise down here. So yeah, we've had an increase to the clock speed. We've still got 1 gigabyte of RAM. That is something that I would have liked. In fact, in overall, if I was going to, you know, revolutionize this, I would have liked to bump this up to 2 gigabytes, 2 gigs of RAM. The thing is that it's the Silicon Valley thing at the moment, isn't it? It's the RAM. It's just crazy money. If they was to add an extra gig of RAM in there, obviously the prices are going to go up. Then you're looking in old Droid territory, or Tinkerboard or something like that. So yeah, I would have loved it, but then if they're going to do that, then I can understand why. Hold out for a Raspberry Pi 4. Hopefully by that point the prices will go down and we can squeeze more out of the, you know, bang per buck, and it would justify it more with an improved, I don't know, probably CPU and some of the other additions that we'll probably talk about now. So yeah, an extra gig of RAM would have gone down a hell of a lot good, but Yeah, it's keeping it at the same price. That is unbelievable that they've even managed to do that. So hats off to them. So it's talking about the new Bluetooth and wireless. We just talked about that a second ago. Yeah, talked about the Ethernet. Extended 40-pin GPIO header. Yeah, great. I think this is a new addition with the little prongs that are in the top here. I think this has got something to do with the because the power is coming in for the Ethernet, you need a third-party device which you can plug onto there. Again, I'm gonna have to look into more detail on that. Don't take my words for gospel. This is me just trying to get this information out as early as possible. Again, I'm not too fussed about that because it doesn't really affect me from the gaming standpoint. It would be good if, I don't know, like I said, the third-party case developers could then utilize these extra GPIOs in some additional features to be able to get a safe shutdown, a safe reset without any tinkering to the actual software and having to change pins and all that kind of stuff. That would be a great addition. So hopefully that has opened those kind of ideas. But again, until I can get my hands on it, I'm not really going into too much detail here. Full-size HDMI, yeah, nice one for that. We already had it. 4 USB ports. Now this is a bit vague. Are we talking about the actual 4 USB ports, as in 1, 2, 3, 4 physical ports going in through the same bandwidth that I was talking about earlier on? I don't know. You guys, can you bring me up to speed on that? Is that what they're talking about? Or is it actually 4 USB ports into it so they don't have to share it? I got no idea. From my thoughts, if you've got Ethernet coming in, and if you've got hard drive plugged in, and they're all active, they're all sharing the same bandwidth. So something's going to have to take the hit if that's the way it's working in my mind. Be interested to see how that goes in real time. I'll conduct some tests on that. CSI camera support, yeah, nice one. We already had that. DSI, yeah, already had it. 4-pole and composite video port. What's that going about? Ah, is that the yeah, that's your 3.5 jack, I believe. Micro SD port. Oh, that would have been a nice addition as well, having eMMC support. But again, having these great additions and great ideas are fine in theory, but when you put bang to buck, then obviously it's going to have a huge increase in the price of this product. So yeah, I believe maybe in the future Raspberry Pi 4, which I believe should have been out by now, to be honest. Let's face it, I love my Raspberry Pi 3s. They are so good, and for the price, who can argue? The price is what keeps this still active and a worthy purchase, to be honest. But obviously other boards are becoming more powerful. The size of an Odroid, the size of a Tinkerboard, the same size as one of these. Odroids are even smaller, and you get what, 2 times, 3 times the power. You can play so many different games on there. Odroid, you can play PSP, you can play Nintendo 64 without any issues whatsoever. Dreamcast, 3DO, and the way it outputs the video and all that kind of stuff, it's just got so much grunt in there. But you're paying for it. It is obviously more expensive. So yeah, I can completely justify why they haven't done these kind of additions, but I would love to pay the extra to have Raspberry Pi to go down that route. Does that make sense? I don't know. I'm just probably waffling on at this point. So yeah, SD port, we already had that. It's using the same power. So those of you who had the Raspberry Pi 3, you can still use the same power adapter. And again, power over the Ethernet. And to be honest, that's about it. That's all they've brought. So to summarize it all, from my take on this, from me thinking about it from a gaming standpoint rather than me going to do school projects on it and things, or use it as an actual operating system on a desktop or something, for me, talking about from media and gaming, I would say no huge improvements. Yep, we're probably going to get a few games working on certain systems such as Dreamcast and Nintendo 64. We're not going to get any new additions to the actual catalog or anything like that, but it's going to be snappier. Let's put it that way. So your attract mode, maybe your front end, or your emulation station, these are going to become much more snappy. You're going to get more out of there. Your themes are going to work. Your media running through there is going to become a lot more stable. Let's put it that way. When you switch from one option to another, it's going to become a lot more snappier from that kind of perspective. Is it going to revolutionize the industry? No, but it's the same price as it was originally. So what do you expect at the end of the day? You get for what you pay for. And this is so slow, this website. I think everybody is bringing themselves up to speed on this right now and hammering it. So I'm going to leave it there. I've waffled on enough. Again, this is by no means a technical advanced video. I'm just merely trying to spread the word, get as much awareness out there as possible to my scene so people can jump all over these. I'm expecting the world to jump all over this like no one's business. So these, I reckon, are going to be like the Raspberry Pi Zero, where everyone's going to snap them up. You're probably going to get scalpers trying to knock them out for twice the price. So get them while they're hot and get them while they're at the recommended retail price right now if you're into this. Of course, if you're happy with Raspberry Pi 3 and everything that runs, is it worth the upgrade? No, if you're happy with it. It's the same price because it's just like buying another one of these. But yeah, I'm made up with this. I cannot wait for mine to come. Hopefully I'll knock out a video as soon as mine arrive to give you some updates. Again, please put in the comments down below if you've got any intake, if you've got any points to raise, especially with some of my very, I don't know, caveman-ish points that I've raised in this video. I'm by no means you know, into my hardware when it comes to this side of computing, but yeah, again, we're bringing awareness. So please like, please subscribe, please do all the things that you would do in this world of Raspberry Pi Day, whatever that is. But most of all, you have a good day. Laters.